Kado's time machine is now in Frenzy Fields. We spent weeks getting Slone's heist team together, Nolan Chance, Antonio, Pippa Pace, Fishfic, and Mia, just for the actual heist not to appear on screen, leaving Fortnite fans disappointed and somewhat confused by the season trailer too. And the time machine arrived at Frenzy Field along with some Chapter 1 Season 5 items, leading to the possibility that we return into Chapter 1 next season. But this isn't the only time big massive storyline implications have been worked out off screen. So during the heist in the Season 4 trailer, we see the heist team steal items from Kado Thorn to be caught in the act by Kado Thorn himself, and of course the heist that would have taken place to steal the time machine would have been a completely different set of events. Of course trailers have to work to a bit of a loose timeline to accumulate what is actually happening in game. Same can be said for the Paradise season trailer. At this point in game, Order 7 was already missing, with the last piece of seasonal dialogue for season 3 actually confirming this.
Paradigm, if you're listening to this, it means I'm gone. I don't know where they took me, and I don't know if I'll be back. I promised we'd never leave you alone again, and I promised freeing the 0 point would be safe. Everything's my fault, so whatever happens to me, I deserve it. I programmed Amy to take care of you and whoever's left. I hope there are people left. I'm sorry it ended like this. I've always...
You're telling me I only have you left? That's awful! Terrible! Horrifying! I could go on for so long!
Not every single person who plays Fortnite does the challenges, so for players who don't follow the story by playing challenges need to be showed some form of a narrative, and that's through trailers. These are not retcons, these are not mistakes, this is something you have to do. But something that does lead to confusion is mistaken identity. During the collision event, we see two characters drop into the 0 point, the Imagine and what appears to be Gunner. This is actually not Gunner. It turned out with the release of the Zero War comics that this was indeed Geno, a supposed villain that we've been leading up to since Chapter 2 Season 6.
Oh no. Hang on, let's talk! Let's talk! Geno! I can get you to Geno.
And the sisters?
I can get you all of them. But I need your help to fix that.
During a tussle between the Imagine Order Wolverine against Geno, the Imagine would sacrifice her life by flying her and her father into the uncalibrated 0 point, which meant their atoms started to scatter among the entirety of the Omniverse.
Help me take out those guards!
So Geno's entire reveal and apparent death was in a comic. Something unknown that gets brought up today is the fact that the Visitor and Fistix can't apparently talk, but that is actually incorrect. Now in game where the Visitor doesn't have voice lines, he does have dialogue, where of course he talks about retiring, but he just doesn't have a voice actor. Fistix in game though tends to talk emotionally or with facial expressions. But again, the dreaded comics come into play. He can actually talk, who would actually kind of get one up on the greatest detective of all time, the Batman. Batman says you can breathe water or at least survive in it, and Fistix responds, again, not exactly a genius are you? Of course I can. But I must apologise, before you go off and tell your friends, oh my god, Fistix can actually talk, he cannot. Kind of. This is established in the 0 point comics. Alright, these artifacts reinforce our working theory this island isn't natural. It was created with certain properties. For example, we understand each other's words, even those whose philosophies and likely origins are vastly different. Again, this is something else that is pre-established in a comic and not in game, so I can see the confusion. So Fistix does talk like this, and he will always talk like this, I guess. In the extra loop, he can communicate with anyone, and also anyone else can communicate with everyone else. And back onto the Visitor, it was actually the Visitor's idea to go and get the mech. You all remember the mecha the Paradigm built. That's what the Visitor said before in the comic. It goes to a flashback, of the Mecha defeating the Devourer. And guys, did you know this one? I think most people by now know this one, but of course the bunkers. This would lead down to the Imagine Order HQ, the one you see in the Imposters game mode, trailers, and of course the Chapter 2 end event. But in the lifetime of the game's storyline, we've had some moments that have been quite controversial. Find out Midas survived because of a Dino Mustard video at the end of Chapter 2.
Midas is great. And not dead. Well, today...
Midas didn't die to a shock. Unbelievable. And of course the big one, find out from a comic book writer that Paradigm wasn't Singularity. Of course there's a famous video from Dino Mustard that said that Singularity will play a big part in the story in the next few years, when that timeline has sort of come and passed.
Could you draw a character that's way more important to the ongoing Fortnite storyline than we all realize? I thought that was an awesome question. So I'm going to be sending you, James, all of the issues. And let me show you who I decided to draw on there. So here's all the issues, and you'll notice that on issue number 5, I drew who you guys know one of her names as, the Singularity.
With no further explanation on her story. Of course, with Kado's time machine, this could all be eventually explained in the next few seasons. But as we can already tell from this video, I wouldn't hold your breath. But if you do want to take a breather for a second, of course if you are enjoying the video, hit that subscribe button and like the video. Another thing I see brought up all the time is where does Jones and the Foundation go after the collision event when they jump into the 0 point to find Geno? People speculated for months, where did they go, did they return? Well, it turns out pretty instantaneously. The reality they went to, because of Geno and the Imagine falling into the 0 point, was also destroyed, and they returned almost instantly to bid the Avengers farewell. This is probably why they're in the next season trailer. Although, why the Imagine is there, I still can't answer that. Possibility of a snapshot, possibility of something else, I have no idea. What are your thoughts on this? So because how the Fortnite storyline is, we are a character in game, we are the looper, so we only see events from our standpoint and we don't really explore the Foundation or Slone standpoint. That's why so often we don't see these things happen.
And get that looper ready. We don't have much time.
Looper? You again? Never mind.
Which at times is very infuriating, and I believe Chapter 4 was the worst from that. The Shapeless Man, the Syndicates getting back together, what Tryout Nox was doing, and previous chapters like Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 had many events to sort of follow a narrative. And then we had Chapter 3, but that was held by the collision event, which was slap bang in the middle and actually ended the war between the Seven and the Imagine Order, which had been building up for many seasons. Chapter 4 struggles because if you're not doing the challenges, you're not really following any story, and the season trailers are no help. Although Chapter 4 actually has a lot of story going on with challenges, dialogues, but that's a lot of work and you can't always keep up with all that. Events would have really gone and helped now. Of course we have the end event in this chapter and I hope it sort of puts everything together to a satisfying conclusion. For one example of how things have been going on behind the scenes this chapter would be Dahlia coming through the Rift Gate, which we only found out by accident because someone stumbled across it. It wasn't released in the original bunch of secret dialogues which normally happens every season. This was picked up later. Think of how many lore elements we've missed because of this. Honestly, they need to move away from secret dialogue. It's an absolute travesty. Maybe characters should have one more line of dialogue with everyone else saying, if you see this person, please send them to me. Just so we know what the hell's going on. Although we're in a loop so he wouldn't remember. But anyway, some of the biggest core elements to the Fortnite storyline was discovered in the Batman Zero War comic book series. And I'd just like to add that I don't mind this, but I also mind this at the same time. It'd be really great for the storyline if we experience a lot of it in-game and in events. Because I feel to anyone new coming into the storyline, that's how you grow communities, by new people coming in, the entry level is pretty high. Or maybe that's the wrong word, it's just awkward. Or Bunker Jonesy concept art giving us some idea how long he was in that bunker for. I wonder how Kado Thorn is treating him currently. Or finding out that the earpieces actually go further and beyond the whole shadow and ghost thing. But are we truly meant to know what that is now? Or will we ever find it out? Fortnite doesn't really, or for me anyway, doesn't really give us the confidence to assume that that will be the case. But you know, fingers crossed, and I'm hoping that it is. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Like, subscribe. Until next time, it's been your boy Mr. White. Next time, bye bye.